Our thinking process consists of two main aspects. One is perception, the other is imagination. Perception is spontaneous, natural and indeliberate. Imagination is deliberate. We imagine things that we like or dislike. Therefore, I is there. The notion of self is there when we imagine something. But in perception, things happen naturally. We perceive things, events and beings through our sensory organs. And they say the sensory organs send signals of their respective objects with regard to their respective sensory objects into the brain, and the brain recognizes it. A picture is formed in the brain, and that is indeliberate, that happens naturally, spontaneously. Once that mental image is formed, we develop either a liking, disliking or inattentiveness towards that mental image. Inattentiveness, we are not interested at all. We are interested in things that we like or dislike. We are interested in things that we like. We want the continuation of what we like, what is pleasant to us. We have to think of things that we dislike because we have to get rid of what we dislike. The basic need in liking and disliking is the sensory pleasure. Our natural need is to please our sense organs, including our mind. The mind is also a sensory organ, sense organ. We want to please our eyes, we want to please our ears, we want to please our noses, we want to please our tongues, we want to please our skin, and we want to please our mind. Those are basic psychological needs. Because of those psychological needs, the mind deliberately go from the past through the present into the future when the mind perceives something, some being or some event. He wants to find out if it is present, whether it can be continued. If it is unpleasant, whether it can be discontinued. If it is neither pleasant nor unpleasant, you are not interested, means you don't pay any attention to it. You ignore it. This ignorance is called moha in Pali. Liking is called raga in Pali. Disliking is called dosa in Pali. It is because of this raga, dosa, moha, the liking, disliking and ignorance, that a thinking process gets started. Buddha says it is the thinking process that is the source of all our suffering, called dukkha. Dukkha is not only suffering, it is scientific, Buddhist scientific term. One aspect of dukkha is suffering. Suffering means changing the pleasant mind into an unpleasant mind. But really dukkha means not only changing the pleasantness into unpleasantness, but also changing unpleasantness into pleasantness. And that is called viparinama dukkha, change. Buddha says, titassa anyatatta bhavishyati, changing one form into another form. When there is unpleasant sensation, you want to change it into a pleasant sensation. That is our basic psychological need. And because of things that are unpleasant, we think of getting rid of it in the future. Any moment hereafter is our future. If it is pleasant, we want to keep it even for the future enjoyment. That means in imagination, the mind is running from the present moment into the unborn future. It runs into the unborn future through the experiences that we have gathered in the past and retained in our brain as memories. Therefore, the traveling of the mind from the past through the present into the future is dependent on our expectations and our projections in the past. We expect the present and we won't reject the unpleasant. Both amount to desire. One is a positive desire to get what is pleasant. The other is a negative desire to get rid of what is unpleasant. It is in the present moment, the pleasantness, and we want it to continue the future. Future is unborn. It is unpleasant at the moment and we want to get rid of hereafter, that is, it is here now, presently, we want to get it in the next moment or next day or next hour or next week. That is future. Our thinking is always related to past, present and future. But perception is related only to the present moment. You perceive things on the present moment. It may be a past memory that crops up at the present moment. It may be what you see at the present moment, what you hear at the present moment, what you smell at the present moment, what you taste at the present moment, what you touch at the present moment, and what gets caught up at the present moment. And all those experiences are imaginary. Imaginary means they are not real. They are mind-made. Thus, a thinking process is an imaginary process. It appears real, but actually it is not real. Because we have to think of things through our sensory experiences, including the experience of the mind or the brain. And whatever sensory experience that we undergo get recorded in our brain in a distorted form. We can never see the reality of anything. Not only see, no sense organs can perceive the reality of any object, any of its sensory objects. Because the sensory organs are so weak, their capacity to perceive is weak. They have a limited capacity. For example, scientists say our body is made of atoms, and in an atom, more than 99.9% is emptiness. That 0.9 go to 12 places in the real actual calculation. That means more than 99.9% of our body is empty, but we don't see that empty because our eyes are not capable of seeing it. Our eyes cannot see the atoms that go to build our body. They are the building blocks of our body. And if you can't see the atoms, you can't see subatomic particles. We can't see the quarks. We can't see the energy strings in our body, what the scientists reveal. That means we don't see the reality of the body. We see only a partial reality, a partial form. And on that partial experience, we go on thinking deliberately, because our main purpose of living is enjoying life. Enjoying life means pleasing our sense organs. That is a basic psychological need, and that's a natural instinct coming from generation to generation. It is in our blood and it is in our mind. We are in touch with the mental process that has gone on in the past lives, the beginning of which even a Buddha cannot say. As Buddha says, Anamataggo I am sansaro. I cannot find the beginning of my existence in the sansara. And throughout samsara we have been thinking. And all the thinking elements or the remnants of thinking or the remembrance of thinking are in our mind. Our mind carries the memories of our entire past. That is why Buddha could reveal number of his past life. He can reveal millions and millions of past lives, because all those memories are in our brain. We have retained them. We are retained in our mind. Similarly, our blood carries the memory of all our ancestors that lived millions and millions of years, like fish, like serpents, like animals, like hunters, like shepherds, like farmers, and so on. All those memories are there in our brain cell. Therefore, our thinking process is generated by those memories. Memories in our genes, in our blood, and the memories in our mind, written, retained, hidden. And they misguide us to suffer in this life, from birth to birth. We want to live because we want to enjoy life. But we can never enjoy life fully. If the life can be enjoyed perfectly and fully, no Buddha would die, no Arahant would die. They want not to be reborn again. That is what Arahants, when they attain Arahanthood during the time of the Buddha, go and inform the Buddha, Reverend Sir, I am not going to be reborn again. That is the way they inform the Buddha how that they have got enlightened. Kina jati, that is the word used in Pali at that time. Reverend Sir, there is no more rebirth for me. I have completed the path you have shown. What is that path? Brahmacharya, sublime livelihood, sublime life, sublime procedure, mental, physical and verbal procedure, they are completed. Usitam brahmacharya, they are completed it. Na parang ittataya, there is no more to be done for us in this life. We have completed all doings. Nothing to be done. They do nothing. That means they create no karma. No, their thoughts are called devoid of karma. Kriya chitta, their forms. But our mental formations are based on our desires and expectations. Desires and expectations are relative. They are related to both our past, present, and also into the future. Pleasantness we want to keep in the future. We imagine it to be in the future. For example, when an unmarried young boy sees a young girl, he gets a liking for the girl. What is that liking? That raga. He imagines this girl is nice for to be my wife, my bride, my girlfriend, my future companion. And all those are imagination. All desires, positive or negative, are imaginations. That is, keeping the pleasant and getting rid of the unpleasant. One is a positive desire to keep, other is a negative desire to get rid of. They are future oriented. The future is unborn. Therefore, that is a mental image that we imagine. Imagination is a mental formation. And that mental formation is made by a thinking process. You see, you think, oh, I'm going to get married, I am going to fall in love with that girl. I am going to make that girl my girlfriend. I'll marry her. I'll bring forth a family with her. I'll live together happily with her. Those are all thoughts. You think of an enemy. I want to get rid of him. Either I am running away from him or destroying him. And you have to think of plans to fulfill your desire, positive or negative desire. That thinking process is with regard to future planning. This does not mean future planning is bad. In our day-to-day practical life, we have to plan our future. Planning can be independent of desires, independent of imagination. We have to plan. We can plan a trip. We can plan building a house. We can plan a discussion, group, a meeting. So many things we can plan. Planning is not bad. What is bad is imagining that plan get already manifested in our imagination. That is not a reality. That is false. Planning is real. If this is done in this way, it can be successful. But we have to leave a margin through wisdom. Chintitappe vinassati, achintintampi bhavisati. What we think may not happen, and what we don't think may happen, according to Buddha's definition of dukkha. In our thinking process, if we are realistic, we will not suffer by the frustrations of our imaginations, our desires. They may get frustrated. The future planning are very fragile. That is why thinking is called loka, that imagination, lujjati, palijjati. They are vulnerable for destruction, bringing down. You may plan to build a house, it may not get manifested. You may plan to pass an examination, it may not get manifested. You may plan to cultivate a field and take the harvest into your home, but that may not get manifested. There's incident at the time of the Buddha. The Buddha saw a farmer Brahmi had the capacity to get enlightened. And seeing that capacity, regularly he used to pass by the farmer Brahmin while the Brahmin was working in his field. When he first met the Brahmin, he was clearing the field. Second time, when he was passing the field, the farmer was digging the field. When he just talked to the Brahmin, "Oh, what are you doing, Brahmin?" "Oh, I am cleaning the field." Second time, "What are you doing this time, Brahmin?" "I am digging the field." Third time, he was digging it for the second time to turn the earth to be turned upside down. Then he said, "This is what I am doing at the moment." Third time, he was just getting the field level with mud for sowing seeds. "Oh, I am doing that." Next time, he was sowing the seed. Next time, he was looking out of the field, cleaning the weeds and so on. Then, by and by, they got very friendly, and Brahmin promised the Buddha, "When I get the harvest into my house, I'll give you half of my harvest because we have now become so great friends." On the day he reaped his harvest and assembled in the field, he went home to carry the harvest into his house. Following day, bringing some carts. But that night, there was a huge flood that washed away the entire harvest. Then the Buddha heard that Brahmi has fallen sick. Buddha went to see him at his house. The Buddha asked, "Why are you sick?" "Sir, I can't bear up the frustration of my promise to you. I promised to give you half the share. I have enough harvest, enough paddy, enough things in my storehouses. I don't want this harvest for me to survive, but I am worried about it because I couldn't fulfill the promise." Then he said, "When you are clearing the field, don't think of taking the harvest home. Don't imagine. Clear the forest. Do the things you are doing at that moment. When you dig, think of the digging. Be aware of the digging. Don't imagine taking the harvest into home. When you are turning the dig earth upside down, don't think of taking the harvest. Imagine. Don't imagine. You can think, you can plan, you can do, you can be aware without imagination. There is the shortest method Buddha taught. Reverend Bahya Daruchirya to get enlightened within few seconds while standing on the road. He said, when you see something, be aware that you see. Don't think of what you are seeing. Don't imagine anything about. When you hear, be aware that you are hearing, living at the present moment. Hearing is natural, spontaneous, not intentional, not deliberate, indeliberate. Seeing, indeliberate. Smelling, indeliberate. Tasting, indeliberate. Touching, contact, indeliberate. Mental formations, indeliberate. Just be aware of them. Don't go on imagination. Imagination is thinking. And in the first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, Buddha said, it is imaginative thinking that is the source of all our suffering. Sankittena upadana khandha dukkha. Upadana means you grab them. You imagine their mind, imagination. You are planning. Your desire, based on desires. Desire is the cause of all suffering. Desire is nothing but a process of thinking. Dukkha samudaya is tanha, is a form of thinking. It's a form of imagination. Don't imagine. Be realistic. Buddhism is a science of realism. It is a realistic religion. Buddha's advice is to be realistic, not imaginative, not to be a dreamer. Don't dream. Face the reality. That is called yatha bhuta jnana darsana. See things as they are. When you are capable of seeing things as they are, you will be capable of accepting things as they are. That is called yatha labha santutti. To come to the stage, your mind must be free from all prejudices. Prejudices are based on our positive and negative desires. Look at things without a positive or negative desire. That means facing reality as it is. That is called dittin chanupagamma silava dassani sampanno. Unprejudiced way of looking at things. That is the Buddha vision, and that is a realistic vision, and there is all what we call the real Buddhism, the original Buddhism. Free from thinking, but full of vision, a right vision, that is called samma ditti, a right vision.